Well, it is Jets night from left to right. Marty Lyons. Now it's right to left. Marty Lyons, Greg Buttle, and Wesley Walker throwing out the first pitches. Jets played here at Shea from 1964 through the 1983 season.
It's funny to see that picture, right? You see the football players made them look tiny. Hojo and Aguila.
Those guys are all in great shape.
Great shape.
Including Emerson Boozer, hadn't played a football game in 30 years, and he looks like he could play tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fred Lewis will lead things off for the Giants. And the Jet flag is flying at Shea Stadium for the first time in 25 years. Jets helping the Mets say goodbye to Shea this year. Fred Lewis having a good year. He's hitting at .286, and the first pitch by Pelfrey in at the knees for a strike. Lewis with a .362 on base percentage. He strikes out a lot, but he's done a nice job at the top of that Giants order. And Pelfrey misses wide, 1-1.
Well, Lewis, Gary, we played the series in San Francisco. He was the one that stuck out in my mind. He's very impressive. Got a nice swing, can run, plays a good outfield.
He's gotten to play every day with Dave Roberts out for most of the season. The Giants expect to get Roberts back after the All-Star break. That'll give them a little outfield depth. One-two to Lewis. Grounded to the right side easily. Can't make the clean play, and Lewis is aboard at first.
Just out of it. He got the glove just on the tip of the glove. Couldn't quite make the play. Lewis hustling down the line. He smells that hit. And they have not made a score yet on this ball.
It's got to be a hit.
It's gotta be. I would give it a hit.
Howie Carpenter is the official scorer, and of course he scores an error.
That's a tough error.
Howie he's very tough.
Wow.
That is not a play that, well, there's the could have made the play versus the should have made the play.
Yeah.
Could have made the play should be a hit. Should have made the play should be an error. And that was a could have, not a should have.
I'm not putting it in.
Ray Durham takes a strike. Well, he won't change it. Guarantee it.
Really?
Guarantee.
Well, Ronnie, one thing we're seeing again from Pelfrey, I just have seen him so much more relaxed on the mound, Ron. Confident, throwing strikes. It's a different Pelfrey.
1-1 to Durham, who's not hitting for much power, but is batting .293. Well, Pelfrey has won his last 4 starts. He's been made comfortable by the fact that the Mets have been scoring a lot of runs for him lately, but it's much more than that.
Tremendous movement on his fastball and throwing it 80% of the time and early.
And also mixing in that four-seamer as well.
Well, I think that has been the key. There's a couple keys. One is that he's using the four-seamer early in the count to get ahead of the hitters. See how he's turned things around with all those numbers. But also what they've done is they've taken the catcher and they put him right in the middle of the plate early in the count. Once he gets 2 strikes, then they'll move to the corners. But they want him pounding the strike zone.
And a pitch out, but Lewis, who has 16 steals, not running. And it's 2-1 to Durham.
We've got 2 guys in this lineup that's stolen 16 bases, Lewis and then Randy Wynn. Lewis has been caught 6 times, Wynn only once.
Giants have to scratch for runs. They don't hit a lot of home runs. Dead last in the league. Grounded to second, might be a double play. Easily goes for the tag. Lewis ran out of the baseline, it appeared, but no call. Durham is thrown out, and the Mets are furious. Clearly Lewis ran out of the baseline, but the second base umpire, Jerry Davis, didn't make the call.
That's a brutal call. Come on.
He's out of the baseline.
Jeez. One of the worst I've ever seen. Come on.
Well, this angle right here, you can't do that.
That's ridiculous. That's unbelievable. How can the first base umpire, Phil Cuzzy, not come over and help him out? He had as good a view as anybody. Heck, he went so far into the grass, he almost ran into Jerry Davis.
Jerry Davis, the crew chief. That's Roberto Kelly right there.
First base coach for the Giants, talking to Phil Cuzzy, the first base umpire. Well, Jerry got himself thrown out in Philadelphia yesterday after they reversed the call on what turned out to be a home run for Ryan Howard that was initially ruled fan interference, but this was a much more egregious call than that.
Well, it looked like that Jerry Davis was giving a rule clearance to to Jerry Manuel unless they've changed it.
Well, the rule is that you have to give the fielder room to field, but that you can't go out of the baseline to avoid a tag unless he said that Easley didn't make enough of an effort to tag him. But that's ridiculous.
And the play is right in front of Jerry Davis too. Surprised. Jerry Davis is a good umpire.
So Lewis is at second with one out. Randy Wynn, the batter. Pelfrey, after the delay, deals outside to Wynn. It was a dangerous hitter, hitting at 292.
Well, Wynn's one of the guys hitting in clutch for this team. 338 in the clutch. This is not a team that scores runs. They are 14th in runs, and as Gary said, last in home runs.
Although their offense has been better lately, especially with runners in scoring position. Since the 20th of May, the Giants are hitting 299 with runners in scoring position. There's Bruce Dreckman, the home plate umpire. We've already seen Phil Cuzzy and Jerry Davis, the crew chief, who made that call, and Ryan Gorman, the umpire at third. So a challenging start for Mike Pelfrey. Easily unable to field the ground ball by Lewis, and then what should have been a double play, not ruled so. 2-0 to Win, and he holds up on the swing, and the pitch misses high, 3-0.
Well, you want Pelf to throw a strike here, but after he throws a strike, hopefully he gets a 3-1. He's got to watch his shortstop. Fred Lewis is a dead duck at second base if they run a pickoff play. Pelfrey's got a quick move to first. It'll be interesting to see if he's got a good move to second.
Reyes shadowing Lewis as he takes his lead. Makes the break to the bag, but Pelfrey deals home for a strike. Well, Reyes had it in mind. He was moving to second base as Pelfrey threw the pitch.
A lot of times young pitchers get locked into throwing balls at home, and they missed the sign, and they would have had him. They had him leaning the wrong way. Good call, RJ.
3-1 now to Win. Fouls it away, 3-2.
Yeah, I think though even though they had him, I think what Jose needs to do in the future, when it's 3-0, let your pitcher throw a strike first and then put the play on, because he's just concentrating on getting the ball over. You want to try to get the hitter. Once he gets that strike over, then put it on. Then that's a really good time. But they've shortened Fred Lewis up now, not as far off the base.
So Benji Molina, the cleanup hitter for the Giants, waiting on deck. 3-2 to Win. Struck him out. Pelfrey comes back from 3-0 to strike out Randy Wynn. 2 men down.
Nice pitch up in the strike zone. Looks like it was the four-seamer. That ball rose out of the hand of Pelfrey, and by Wynn.
Well, Mike's strikeouts have been up. He struck out at least 5 in each of his last 3 starts. He struck out at least 5 in only 3 of his first 26 starts. And that four-seam fastball has a lot to do with that.
That, and although he came back from 3-0 there, 1-2 is a lot easier to strike people out than 2-1 and 3-1, as he's been for most of the early part of this year.
So here's Benji Molina hitting at 293. Giants have some good batting averages in their lineup, but they don't have a lot of home runs. Here's a cleanup hitter, Molina, who has had 6 home runs this season.
I've always liked those guys that drive in runs with no home runs, and you can see his 53 RBI with 6 home runs. That's doing some work.
Check swing, and Molina fouls it off.
Ooh, there's that moving fastball.
This ball just chases you sometimes.
That's nasty.
Well, lucky it hit his bat.
Yes.
Molina, one of the toughest hitters to strike out in the National League. Generally because he puts the ball in play early. But here, Pelfrey has him 0-2. Lewis at second and 2 out. Pelfrey steps off.
Pelfrey's got to be careful here because Molina's good at protecting the plate. You don't want to catch any part of the plate with his 0-2 pitch. If you're going to throw your slider, make sure it's off the plate, in the dirt. Maybe he'll fish for it, because anything over the plate, he'll shoot that ball to right field. As he and Schneider are having a tough time getting acclimated here.
Well, speaking of pitchers, CC Sabathia is pitching tonight for Milwaukee, and there is a report that another big pitcher has been traded. Rich Harden goes from the Oakland A's to the Chicago Cubs.
Oh boy, that guy can pitch. I mean, when he's healthy, which isn't very often, he's unhittable.
Not confirmed yet, and we haven't heard who's going the other way, but that's huge for Chicago. 0-2 to Molina. In tight, and he hit him. So Molina is hit by the pitch, and the Giants have 2 men on.
Well, again, that chaser, the ball coming in, just gets the thigh of Benji Molina. He really didn't have to come in twice there. He'd already established in with that high up and inside pitch. He could have went back outside, but just all that movement from Pelfrey.
The report coming in on that trade with Chicago and Oakland is that the A's are getting 4 players, including the pitcher Sean Gallagher and the outfielder Matt Merton and a couple of minor leaguers. So the dominoes are starting to fall well before the trading deadline. Here's Aaron Rowan with 2 out and 2 on. Rowan hitting at 300 on the year, and he takes a strike. Well, with the Brewers having made their move for a big-time pitcher, the Cubs try and match them, and now the question is the Cardinals, who might be getting some pitchers back, maybe. They have Mark Mulder starting tomorrow, and they hope to get Chris Carpenter and Adam Wainwright back. Will they make a move? Off the corner, and it's 1-1 to Rowan.
Well, I think that is a good move. Matt Merton, of course, the outfielder. The Cubs have always been waiting for him to turn it on. He never has, but he's a bright young star. Our friend Billy Bean.
He usually gets a lot when he trades away his chips. 1-1 to Rowan. Hit off the fist, deep short. Reyes makes the play, but he has nowhere to throw it, and it's an infield hit for Rowan. Reyes did exactly what he needed to do, which was to keep the ball in the infield and prevent that run from scoring.
Well, as an infielder, you always want to keep the runners in scoring position, keep the ball in the infield, even if you have to dive. Nice play by Jose. Prevents the run from scoring.
So on an error, a hit batsman and an infield hit. The Giants have the bases loaded with 2 down, and here is John Bowker, the rookie first baseman. He was not a first baseman until he came to the major leagues, strictly an outfielder, but the Giants had a need. They taught him how to play first base a little bit, and he leads them in home runs with 9. Bases loaded, 2 down, and Pelfrey throws a fastball for a strike.
You know, the lack of the home runs has a little bit to do with that ballpark. A tough ballpark to hit home runs in. That's what makes Barry Bonds' feat in that ballpark extra special.
By the way, today is John Bowker's 25th birthday, so he has a chance to give himself a quick birthday present. 1-1 to Bowker.
Well, he's one of those guys. Talked to Mike Krukow, the Met killer, who's on with the broadcast team with the Giants. He and Dwayne Kuiper said he's got short arms, hard to get inside on, real quick hands. Like Bill Madlock.
Yeah.
1-1. Foul back.
Ron Say was like that.
Greg Jeffries.
Greg Jeffries. Good example.
The best hitter of that group was obviously Bill Madlock.
Oh, Bill Madlock.
2-time batting champion. He could hit.
Richard Aurelia, the Brooklyn native, waiting on deck. And still coming in to Shea. 1-2 now to Bowker. On the inside corner, strike 3 called. Jose Reyes, 3 straight multiple hit games in the last 3 days in Philadelphia. Now has 111 hits, tied for second in the National League behind Christian Guzman. He lines that one to short for Omar Vizquel, and that's 1 hard out.
Well, the wrong guy to hit it to right there, Vizquel. He is a perennial Gold Glover on the ebb of his career. Watch him right here. Pull it by Reyes. Nice backhand.
He may not be hitting much, but Vizquel's glove never fails.
Or his hand. You know, I mean, sometimes he feels those ground balls just barehanded.
Here's Andy Chavez. Andy, over the last 24 games, is hitting .368. He's been getting a chance to play virtually every day, and that's not going to end anytime soon with the news today that Ryan Church has gone back on the disabled list. Mets have called up Nick Evans for his second tour of duty with the Mets, but the news on Church is not good, and there's really not a whole lot of reason for optimism right now. It is 3 days since his migraine in Philadelphia on Saturday, and he says he is still exhausted and doesn't feel a whole lot better, and that's not a good sign.
No, it's not.
2-1 to Chavez. Lined up the middle. Base hit for Endy. So Endy Chavez now has a 6-game hitting streak. And the Mets have hit 2 balls hard against Tim Lincecum.
Fastball away. And I think Lincecum's going to have to start changing maybe the program a little bit. Try to come inside. Lincecum's a guy you can steal on, Gary.
You know what's interesting? You look at the numbers on Lincecum. He has been so much more effective pitching out of the stretch than he has been out of the windup. The on-base percentage against Lincecum with batters leading off an inning is .432. But when runners get on base, he's able to shut things down. Here's David Wright. Up and in. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Talk about chasing him.
I've talked to a lot of hitters. They say that when they initially go up against Tim Lincecum, as you see that high fastball, that they really have been told that he's so deceptive. Most hitters say it's not really deception. It's that he throws 95 with an overhand curveball. That's what makes him tough.
And coming straight over the top like that, Keith, you don't see that many pitchers pitch from that arm angle these days.
No, and the fact that he comes over the top and you got that, his head is kind of cocked a little bit to the side. Yeah. He hides the ball well, so that's a difficulty. You really have to just focus, eliminate his windup or his stretch, his delivery actually, and just focus on point of release. The guys that hide the ball well, you just have to focus as a hitter at the point of release. You see how he hides it real well.
You see that number of his 55 for a long period of time as a hitter.
Takes that low set position and Wright fouls off the fastball. And you know, Lincecum, I don't know if you can compare him to anybody in terms of the way he delivers the ball, but it almost seems as though he uses his left arm as a guide and then kind of pinwheels his other arm over the top.
He does, and he really pushes off with that back leg. His stride, most pitchers' strides about 75% of their height. His is about 125% of his height. So very much like Billy Wagner and the way he uses that long stride to generate that speed.
But the difference, of course, is Billy short arms the ball like a catcher, and Lincecum's got that arm all the way down, almost on the ground.
He almost looks like when you watch someone who throws a javelin, how they reach all the way back and then propel it.
That's a great analogy. The curveball misses high, and it's 3-2 to Wright.
Well, there's the first curveball he's thrown today. I was just going to mention that he hasn't thrown his curveball yet. He's thrown a couple changeups and basically the heat, and he missed with it. He's got an excellent curve.
Now Lincecum leads the league in strikeouts. So do you send Endy here on 3-2 with 1 out?
Certainly.
He's going, and David takes high, and the Mets have 2 men on. Lincecum has averaged about 3.5 walks per 9 innings. David Wright is moving up through the league leaders in walks now. This is 55th walk.
Oh, look at this stride.
Wow.
And he sits. He almost, see how low his backside is, and that lead foot, very unusual. Most pitchers, you'll see that pointing a little towards third base, totally open, facing straight to the plate. Beautiful motion.
Now Carlos Beltran with 2 men on. He takes a curveball for a strike.
There's the hammer we were talking about right there. Outside corner, knee high. That's a 12-6. That's a drop, we used to call it when we were kids.
Beltran lays off the high fastball, 1-1. Well, when Lincecum first was in the amateur ranks, a lot of scouts looked at him and said, well, that's an unusual motion. He's going to hurt himself.
Yeah.
And he's never had an arm problem, doesn't even ice his arm. But the one thing they are concerned about is the amount of torque that he puts on his right knee, because all that pressure is on that knee, and then he turns it so violently. 2-1 now to Beltran.
The thing that he has, and you could never teach really anyone to pitch like he does, he grew up as a gymnast. He's very, very flexible, incredible athlete, and even though 170 pounds, very, very strong. Talking about a guy that in the clubhouse occasionally he'll walk on his hands for 5-10 minutes.
2-1 to Beltran. Breaking ball fouled off.
I always knew you pitchers were a little goofy.
Yeah, we're definitely goofy. We're definitely goofy. Listen, you stand out there and walk all the way to that dugout and get booed. It's no fun.
You're saying it's a shorter walk for a hitter?
Yes.
Chavez at second, Wright at first, and 1 out, still in the first inning. Pelfrey worked out of a jam in the top of the inning. Lincecum trying to do the same in the bottom of the first. 2-2 to Beltran. Curveball hit in the air to right field. It's deep. Back goes Wynn onto the warning track. Right back at the wall, leaping, and it's out of here! Carlos Beltran with a towering 3-run homer. The 250th home run of Beltran's career, and the Mets jump out to a 3-0 lead. Number 14 on the year for Beltran, and the Mets strike early. Now Damian Easley, who's been red hot, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, he gets the curveball here, stays up, belt high, and Lincecum just hasn't been able to settle in here, and the Mets take advantage. You can see right there, right in the wheelhouse.
And those are the fly balls that in April and May do not make it out of this ballpark at Shea. But once you get this humid weather and you get it high in the air, it just will carry.
He wasn't sure he got it. Beltran. Lincecum thinks he's pitching in San Francisco.
That's only the 6th home run that Lincecum has allowed this year in 116 innings. That's about as high a home run as we've seen in a long time in this ballpark.
Yep. That was a Strawberry kind or Kingman kind of home run.
I'm thinking with it being Jets night here, it was kind of like a Steve O'Neill punt.
There you go.
Lots of hang time.
Well, Jerry knows he's got some momentum coming. Tough pitcher out here. You got a red hot Pelfrey. Could be a pitcher's duel. Lincecum could settle in like all good pitchers and just throw goose eggs the rest of the way. You got 3 on the board quick.
Check swing, and Easley went around, strike 3. So that's the 2nd out of the inning. Keep in mind that the only previous out that Lincecum recorded was that line drive off the bat of Reyes. So he has not been a mystery so far. Now Carlos Delgado. Carlos with 15 home runs, 49 driven in. Well, the Mets over the last 7 games averaging more than 7 runs per game. But in those 7 games, they hit a total of only 5 home runs.
Yeah.
So the long ball has not been a huge part of their offensive weaponry. But Beltran with the 3-run shot here as Delgado takes in on the fists, 1-0.
Which in a way is really good.
Absolutely.
Because you never know what kind of stretch you're going to go in when you're only hitting home runs. If you're putting together double-digit hits every single night, that means everyone's contributing. That means the whole lineup is gelling, and you have a chance to have those crooked number innings.
I think a lot of it just had to do with, you know, the way the game changed and the long ball became so important. And, you know, there's times you have to go up there and you just have to keep the rally going. Delgado did it in that big at bat against J.C. Romero. Late in the ball game, the left-hander, first pitch fastball, base hit in the right center field, 1st and 3rd, set up the big inning.
Well, Lincecum, not one who generally allows 1st inning runs, but the Mets have jumped him tonight. Now Delgado takes a strike, and it's 3-2. Carlos thought he had ball 4. But Bruce Dreckman called him back. Fernando Tatis, who had 3 hits yesterday, waiting on deck. 3-2 to Delgado.
Carlos's dad is here today to watch him play.
Big Carlos.
Got to meet him today. That genetic thing is crazy, isn't it? I mean, people just resemblance is uncanny.
Ball 4, 2nd walk of the inning issued by Lincecum. And he is throwing a ton of pitches early in this game. Dave Righetti, the Giants pitching coach, is going to head out to the mound to talk to Lincecum before Fernando Tatis steps in. Tatis hit the huge home run in the 12th inning on Sunday. Got rewarded with a start yesterday. Got 3 more hits and playing again against a right-hander tonight.
I wonder if Frags, David Getty, a good friend, I wonder if he's reminiscing a little bit when coming into town 25 years ago and 4 days on July 4th through his no-hitter against the Red Sox.
Yes. You know, you can see Lincecum right there in your home runs.
Fewest home runs per inning or most innings per home run. Lincecum and Pelfrey, tonight's starters, 2 and 3 in the league, behind Edison Volquez. So here's Tatis, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Tatis has his average up to 289 with his recent spurt. This is the 20th game he started this year.
And Lincecum's just up with his pitches early here. He's not able to get him down. He's been missing high in the strike zone.
You know, we saw David Getty go out there. He had an interesting comment. They asked him, you know, how hard is it to work with Lincecum? He goes, easy. I don't do anything.
Right.
I leave him alone.
Well, his father taught him his mechanics. His father figured it out on his own and used Lincecum's flexibility. Breaking ball popped up in foul ground. Bowker will watch it sail out of play. And one of the things that Lincecum's dad made clear to both his college coaches at Washington and the professional coaches before he was drafted was, look, you know, this kid has different mechanics. You're going to have to leave him alone. And the Giants have been willing to do that, to their credit, because most scouts would look at that and say, well, we're going to make some changes.
Yeah.
0-2, right down the middle, strike 3 call. Tatis down looking to end the inning. 2 strikeouts for Lincecum, but 3 runs for the Mets. Really hitting at 284. He's had a nice comeback season this year. Playing some first base, and tonight playing third base for the Giants.
It's 11th year with the Giants.
Well, he had some phenomenal years hitting in front of Barry Bonds.
He was brought along in that wake, wasn't he?
Well, he had O'Reilly ahead of him and Kent behind him, and they both certainly benefited from that.
He's one of those hard-nosed, blue-collar players.
1-2 to Aurelia. Very interesting yesterday. We were in Philadelphia, and in the wake of the latest news on Alou and Church, the question started to be asked of both Jerry Manuel and Omar Minaya about Barry Bonds, who's still out there, unsigned, available if anybody wants to make a play for him. And I can't see the Mets doing that, and certainly that's the impression that both manager and general manager gave as Wright throws out Aurelia. But as we get toward the trading deadline and teams are looking to reinforce themselves, do you think there's anybody out there who might make that move?
I don't think a National League team will take him. He's such a negative out in the field. He can't move anymore. It would have to be.
He's a 5.
He's a 5. Absolutely. Might be a 6. No offense, Barry, because Barry was a Golden Glover.
Yeah,
so, Barry doesn't move nearly like he used to. But I would think it would have to be an American League team if they do it all to DH.
Omar Vizquel, who's really struggling offensively, hitting just 159.
And I think, I know people that know Barry's been working out and he's preparing, but when you haven't played all year, I think you can come back and hit. I don't know if you can come back and play in the field, because there's no exercise you can do to simulate playing every single day in the field.
But taking 4 at-bats a day as a DH? 3-1 to Vizquel.
When I got traded to the American League, they'd have Oakland would play San Francisco before the season in a preseason game. And the first time he came up, there were 2 on, and I threw a fastball right down the middle, and he hit a 3-run home run. I remember after the game I saw him, I said, he goes, I don't take the first pitch anymore, Ronnie. I said, I see. Thank God it's a preseason game.
Vizquel rips one foul. Wow.
You'd think he would have held that in reserve till the season started.
Well, we didn't play. Right. It was before interleague.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
Well, when you first faced Bonds, he was a leadoff hitter.
That's right.
He had to take the first pitch.
That's right. And I'm so happy that I gave up his second home run, not his first.
Craig McMurtry, right?
That's right.
3-2 to Vizquel with 1 out. And he grounds one down to Delgado. Pelfrey gets over to cover. 3-1 put out, 2 away.
Little story about that home run. I'll never forget. He was leading off. It was his second at bat in Pittsburgh, and this kind of stuff just didn't happen in those days. So I threw a fastball away, good spot. He hit a line drive, and I'm watching it, and it goes over the fence and left center field. I'm like shaking my head. What just happened? No one does that. Well, he did, and he kept on doing it.
This is Rivers. Miss Rivers.
She's supposed to be on a red carpet somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Lincecum has 6 hits this year. Pelfrey falls behind him 2-0.
That's Joan and her daughter Melissa, and probably Melissa's child checking the Mets game out. Nice.
By the way, you asked about Rich O'Reilly, what neighborhood he grew up in.
Yeah.
Gravesend.
Okay. Thank you.
You ask the question, we do the research.
Yeah, I want to get this stuff right.
Somebody does the research for me.
Lincecum's got a nice swing, Keith.
Yes, he does. A little power swing, a little uppercut. He's got an idea.
Fred Lewis on deck. 2-2 to Lincecum. Gets that one foul. Looks like he's about 12.
Yeah. He looks like he should be in shorts and a skateboard somewhere.
That's Barry Zito.
Coming off a great performance against the Dodgers, Zito will pitch the day game here on Thursday. He can get on track. Who knows what the Giants might be able to do. Get out to short. Reyes waits on it. Lincecum just jogging, and Reyes throws him out. 3 ground balls, 3 outs for Pelfrey in the top of the second after the Mets handed him the lead.
It's Jets night at Shea here. Well, the Mets are in a good mood. They're up on Tim Lincecum, but a lot of the former Jets are in the house, and I'm one of the greats. Former Pro Bowl wide receiver Wesley Walker is here. And, well, first of all, it's great to see you. Second of all, why don't you tell the fans what you've been up to right now?
Well, I'm an elementary school phys ed teacher, and that's been one of my passions and one of the things that I'm very proud of. I've been able to tell kids what was instrumental in my life, and that's getting your education. And I went back to school, got my master's degree, been teaching ever since. I've taught all levels, and I'm in an elementary school in Parkview Elementary in Kings Park. And that's something that I enjoy, and that's my passion.
You know, guys, I was talking to Wesley. I asked him if he could still play. He denies it, but I guarantee you, if you see him stand up, I bet you could still play a couple. We were just talking a little bit about your former teammate, Al Toon. Tell me about what you remember playing in that combination. I mean, it was just so awesome to watch.
Well, we were an unstoppable combination. I used to get very angry because they used to pump him with the ball. I felt like, hey, give me as many balls as you got, and I could get as many yards. But a couple years we were like a tandem, where like a 1-2 punch, and I was mostly the deep threat, and he was the short yardage guy. But I remember one year we both had 1,000 yards, but more than that, we were good friends, and we just worked well together. And we had some great athletes that helped us, be successful.
All right, so you're back sitting in a seat where I guess probably a lot of people watched you play over the years. What do you remember? When you come back here and see Shea in his final year, what do you remember about playing here?
Well, I remember just being real intimate with the fans. I remember coming out of the dugout, and it used to scare me. I remember our rookie year, we didn't play very well, and the fans would let you have it, and you had to walk right down towards the stands, and you're right there with the fans, and they could spin on you, yell at you, curse you out, or whatever.
In New York?
Oh, yes. And but the thing is, as long as I played for the fans. And the one thing about New York fans, the real fan, whether you lose or win, they're right there with you, and that's what I cherish the most.
The Jets were here when you were here. How much did the players communicate or have friendships with the Mets who were residing here? Was there a lot of interaction there?
Yes, there was. As a matter of fact, I just saw Howard Johnson, who had a relationship. I actually did a commercial with him, and he lived in Woodbury, and I live in Dixon. I still reside there now. And there was a little camaraderie there, but you didn't get an opportunity to really get a chance to know each other, even though you played there. But there were some guys that, because they lived in the same neighborhoods or they would do certain appearances together, but there was also a fit. I would rather had our own stadium by ourselves, but we had our own identity, even though we shared it with the Mets, and that's what I cherish most also.
One out is Mike Pelfrey bats now. Wesley Walker, a former Pro Bowl Jet, had some great playoff games as well. Before we let you go, I understand you're in the Gary Cohen fan club. Is that true?
Absolutely, and I must say that I had several people call me last night. He gave me the biggest compliment, and I want to thank Mr. Cohen for his kind words, and I cherish being here with my teammates, but he paid me the ultimate compliment, and when people call me at home because of that, I really respect that.
Well, it's great to see you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
See, Gary, he may be your favorite former Jet, but you might be his favorite announcer, so it works both ways.
All I can say is this, and it's not a Shea Stadium memory, it's a Meadowlands memory, and all Jet fans will remember this. Jets 51, Dolphins 45 in overtime.
That's right. That's right.
One of the greatest games ever played, and Wesley caught the game winner from Kenny.
Shortstop.
So Lincecum's retired the first 2 here in the bottom of the second, and Jose Reyes comes to bat. Mr. Mets decked out in his Jets green tonight.
It's pretty funny. My generation of player, we were more friendly with the Giant players because the Jets had moved out of here and they were in the Meadowlands. And for whatever reason, it seemed that maybe it was because of the players on the Giants seemed to maybe go out more or hang out more in the city. We got to know a lot of those guys.
I was always a Jet fan. Once Namath in '69, I was a Jet fan.
So you're a front runner.
No, when they were bad, I always rooted for the Jets. I know our producer, Greg Picker's not going to like that, but
He'll get over it.
I rooted for the Giants when they had Y.A. Tittle.
You remember the Namath Unitas game where they both threw for over 400 yards?
Right.
That was the greatest exhibition of passing. Line to center field, and Reyes has a 2-out hit. So Reyes, who lined one to short his first time up, gets on Lincecum here and lines the fastball into center field. Hit number 112 for Reyes.
Nice hitting by Reyes. Again, a ball away. Hit a bullet his first time up. And now another rocket, and he's red hot.
And he is on alert every moment right now. He saw the bobble by Rowan. He thought about going to second. Here's Chavez, who singled to center and scored in front of Beltran's home run in the first. Lincecum's pretty easy to run on. This year, 14 out of 15 have been successful stealing with Lincecum on the mound. And for his career, 24 out of 27. Reyes has 32 for the year.
You know, another note about Wesley Walker. My brother went to Berkeley. That's where Wesley went to Cal from '73 to '76. And my brother called me because he was living over in the East Bay at that time. He just finished playing ball, got out of the game, and he would go to the Cal game. He said, "You got to see this wide receiver we got." Well, got to see plenty of them here in New York.
Yep.
Spectacular. 1-0 to Chavez. Reyes runs. The throw by Molina, and right on the money, he gets Reyes. Top of the order for the Giants. Fred Lewis leads against Mike Pelfrey in the third, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Lewis hit a ground ball to second base that easily couldn't quite get to. Scored a difficult error.
Well, your left-handed approach, if you're a left-handed hitter, to Pelfrey is, you know, he's got that tremendous moving fastball away, and that's his pitch. You just got to just take him the other way, particularly leadoff hitters. There, he's taking another pitch right there. Took 2 outside corner fastballs, and you're going to get outside from Pelfrey if you're a left-hand hitter.
Yeah, and you should know the scouting report. His last 5 starts have all been the same. He's gone right after, throwing a lot of fastballs.
Goes right after him with the fastball again. Reyes plays the big hop and throws out to Speedy Lewis for the first out. It's 5 in a row for Pelfrey. The last 4 all on ground ball outs. So 1 away. Well, we mentioned Ryan Church went back on the disabled list today, so it looks like he's further away. Meanwhile, in the continuing saga of Moises Alou and his calf, maybe he's getting a little closer. Moises played tonight for the Binghamton in Norwich against Connecticut. The Connecticut Navigators?
I don't know.
Something like that. Anyway, he played 5 innings, went 1 for 3, played left field, and no ill effects reported.
Not exactly on the road with Jack Kerouac, but Moises Alou is having his travels.
Well, it's nice to see that he played tonight. Ray Durham fouls it off 0-2. Now, I talked to Omar Minai before the game about Alou. He said, we're not rushing him.
Yeah.
If he can come back after the All-Star break in Cincinnati, that would be great. We're not expecting him here this weekend. If he can, that's even better, but we're not pushing that at all. 0-2 to Durham, and it misses outside. A fastball, 1-2.
Boy, it is just night and day with Mike Pelfrey, isn't it?
Yep.
His demeanor, everything, in every way. Effortless motion now. There's no more of the tension. And it just comes with success, Ron. The only way you can get over the hump is everybody has to get over the hump. You're either going to make it or you're not. And the only way you're going to make it is success, and the confidence comes with success.
Yeah.
3-2 now to Durham. Well, I remember Tom Glavine talking about Pelfrey 2 years ago and talking about how when Glavine first came up with a bad team in Atlanta, he was able to work out the things that Pelfrey was going through as Durham lifts it to right, and in comes Chavez to make the grab. He said he was able to do those things in obscurity. Remember, Glavine went 7-17 his first season. He said Pelfrey doesn't have that luxury. He's pitching for a team that's expected to win in the cauldron of New York, and everybody's watching. But Mike appears to have pushed his way through that window.
And I think he's done it by going back to simplified his pitching motion. He simplified his thought process. Doesn't have all the different things running through his head instead of just strike one, first out of the inning. That's the key for him.
But I've always said, Gary, you're a young kid coming up, and and he is throwing his curveball, absolutely. And Dan Warthen told me on the road that they're mixing back in his curveball, which he has thrown his whole life.
We saw him start out, win with a curveball, and then come right back with the fastball, 1-1.
He threw an 0-1 to Fred Lewis, too, so that was his second curveball of the evening. And it'd be a great pitch for him to just kind of get me over strike.
And what are you going to do if you're a young kid and you're having struggles in the big league level, and you have a coach that says we're going to change you? What are you going to say at 21 years of age? No, this is what got me to the dance. Then you're going to get in the doghouse.
Yeah,
it's a fine line.
It is a fine line.
Well, you go back to Aaron Heilman when they made him come over the top, a place that he wasn't comfortable pitching from.
Ronnie, you with Davey Johnson saved you.
Same thing happened to me when I went to the Texas organization. They wanted me to throw like Jim Palmer, straight over the top with a big 12-6 hook, and I just couldn't. Yeah, I mean I could throw hard that way, and that's what they wanted. They wanted me to throw hard. Well, I threw hard, just didn't pitch very well.
2-2 to Randy Wynn. Missing inside, 3-2.
Very much like the pitch that struck out John Bowker in that first inning with the bases loaded, a fastball off the plate that Pelfrey got the call to get him out of that first inning jam.
On 3-2, Wynn lifts it to left field. Plenty of room for Tatis. Side retired.
And Jerry is put him in that 2-hole. I like him in that 2-hole.
Off the end of the bat to short, Vizquel comes in and sweeps it to first in time to get Endy. Vizquel knew exactly how much time he had. One away. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he sure is. 11 Golden Gloves. It looks like he's not going to catch Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith, of course, is the all-time shortstop leader in Gold Gloves with 13.
Who's going to win it this year? Jimmy Rollins won it last year. Tulowitzki looked like a rising star, but he's going to miss so much time this year. So who's going to win the Gold Glove in the National League?
Usually when you make your reputation, it's kind of hard to knock the king off the throne, Maybe Rollins again.
Well, last year I would have said Jose Reyes deserved it over Rollins. This year it's been a rougher year in the field for Jose. There's a strike to right, and it's 1-1. But I'm hard pressed to come up with the guy who deserves to win it. I mean, we're only halfway through the season.
Like Stephen Drew at all? Do you think he does enough? He's not really a Gold Glove guy, is he?
Doesn't have the range, does he? I mean, you'd love to see a guy with a great arm, great range, good hands. Oh. For years in the National League, it was obvious. You knew Ozzie was going to win it every year. You knew Vizquel was going to win it in the American League every year. 3-1 to right, grounded toward third, backhanded by Aurelia. The long throw in the dirt. Bowker off the bag, and Wright is saved at first base. I'll tell you what, Bowker, for a guy who doesn't play first base, he made quite a play there, but couldn't stay on the bag.
Well, nice backhand by Aurelia, but just not a good strong throw here. Had plenty of time to set. Did not. Oh, did he come off the bag?
I don't know.
Let me see.
Well, Cuzzy said he did.
Well, it's close. Where are they going to rule that?
It's a base hit. So David Wright is aboard for the second time. That's his 100th hit of the year. And now Beltran, who hit a 3-run homer his first time up, a curveball from Lincecum, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, they got a curveball hanging here. Belt high middle. And with two hot pitchers like this, that could be the difference. You see the reaction in Jerry Manuel. Such a critical homestand right now before the All-Star break. Playing two teams from the West in the lower end of the division and in a very bad division, and you're home.
And you almost feel like you have to go at least 4-2, don't you?
Got to beat them up. You just got to beat them up.
Those two teams, though, would tell you that they're both very much in contention. Giants are only 5 games out. Rockies only 6.5. 0-2 to Beltran.
Good Lord, he just threw that fastball right by him up and in. Oh.
There's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Night game tomorrow, day game on Thursday with the Giants, and then 3 over the weekend with the Rockies going to the All-Star break, and then in Cincinnati for 4 after the break. And remember, if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Lined into right field, a base hit. Wright had to hold up to avoid being hit, but he's going to try for third anyway. Wynn's throw is cut off, and the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 down. A bullet by Beltran, and Bowker never had a chance.
Excellent base running by David. Watch this. He has to dodge the ball, loses all momentum, but he sees that it's down the line. And why would he throw a changeup after he threw a fastball right by him up and in is beyond me. Well, that's why he's looking at first and third. But look at David. Never hesitated. Excellent hustle. Excellent base running.
So the Mets now with 5 hits against Tim Lincecum.
Good dirt in his face.
He don't care. He's just having fun. Here's Easley, who struck out his first time up. First and third and 1 out.
You've seen Jerry Manuel hit and run first and third in that Philly series.
To short, Vizquel to Durham. Quick toss to first. Double play. Side retired. 6-4-3 on the double play. First pitch to Easley. So the Mets are turned aside. 3 in the books now at Shea. The Mets lead the Giants 3-0. They're very good at multitasking.
When did you start texting? When your daughter started texting?
I never knew how to text to my daughters,
Yeah.
of course. If they won't answer the phone, I call them. I have to text them. If I need to hear from them, I got to text them.
Molina pops it up, and Delgado behind the bag. 1 away. That's 8 in a row set down by Pelfrey. And now Aaron Rowand, who has the only Giants hit, a single in the hole at short.
Center fielder Aaron Rowand.
Rowand got off to a very fast start with the Giants this year after signing as a free agent. He's slowing down recently. Joan and Melissa making friends.
Yes. Nice seats.
There's a strike, and it's 0-1.
Well, Rowan's interesting. It's interesting when you look at free agents and you look at the guys that you want and the money that is paid for these free agents because they've got themselves in the right situation. Whenever I think of Rowan, I think of him more as a complimentary player. He's not the player.
Well, that's what Philly felt about him.
Yeah.
And let him go.
But he actually fit better in Philly
Yes.
because they have those big bats in the middle of the lineup. But the Giants, they just don't have that. I mean, they've got Benji Molina as their cleanup hitter, and that's no knock on Benji, who's a terrific player,
Yes.
but he's not a cleanup hitter.
Looks like he's riding a horse. Bow-legged. That is so bizarre.
Grounded out to Reyes. Comes in to grab the short hop. And throws out Rowan, 2 away. So 2 up and 2 set aside, and Pelfrey has just been dominant again here tonight. He's retired 9 in a row since a first innings jam, and it started with a strikeout of Bowker that left 3 on base in the first.
And Ronnie, predominantly fastballs.
Yeah.
Moving fastballs.
And they just, his ball just at the end has that good life down in the strike zone that they just hit the top of the ball.
And because of that, Pelfrey has done an unbelievable job of keeping the ball in the ballpark. In fact, he's given up just 1 home run in his last 12 starts. Up the middle, and Bowker has the second San Francisco hit, a 2-out single, and Rich Aurelio will bat. The last time a Met pitcher had a span of 12 starts, giving up just 1 home run. You got to go back to Sid Fernandez in 1992.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you believe that, Sid? Sid used to always give up bombs.
He did.
Always.
You remember the game in Atlanta when he struck out 16 and gave up the Lonnie Smith home run
That's right.
in the bottom of the 9th? That was a heartbreaker.
I'll just never forget when Sid struck out 17 in AAA. We were all up here like, what is he doing in AAA? Get that guy up to the big leagues.
And I kept saying, you know, after we got Coney, Sid and Coney, I go, who are our scouts? They're finding these pitchers.
The Mets did have some greats, still do, but I don't know all of them as well as I did the scouts in the 80s, but they always had good scouting in the 80s.
I mean, if you look at our starting 5 back then, it was just Aggie and Doc. I mean, we got you in trade, we got Ojeda in trade, George, folks, is David Cohn.
Of course.
That's a story in itself.
Aurelia lays off, and it's 2-0.
We called David Cohn George because he came over from Kansas City and he idolized George Brett. And he kept always saying George Brett this, George Brett that. So we started calling him George. And guess what? Within a homestand, he stopped talking about George Brett.
He did.
Calling a Met pitcher George is not a bad thing.
That's right.
Greatest pitcher in Mets history is named George.
GTS.
That guy.
There's 2 number 41s on the wall today.
That's right, Matt Snell. That was his number, and that's also the Shea countdown number. 3-0, and there's a strike to Aurelia. 3-1.
This is just such, I know it's a long way to go, but it's such a happy story just to look at Pelfrey out there in this transformation. And a good guy, just so happy for him because he's really struggled and he's putting it together.
And yet, if you look at his body of work,
Yeah.
it really hasn't taken that long. This is only his 3rd professional season.
Yeah.
First round pick in 05. Didn't pitch in professional ball till 06 and was in the majors that season. Pitch count a little higher than he'd like here in the 4th. But that's because he has to work awfully hard back in the 1st inning.
We've seen him go with that sinker 2-seamer into right-handers.
Docker will run. 3-2 to Aurelia. Pop foul. But you know what I mean? I go back to what Glavine said. I mean, on any other stage, you'd say, well, this is a guy in his 3rd year at pro ball. This is exactly the timetable that he should be on for figuring it out at the big league level.
Well, think about it in this way. When I first came up in '83, I was told before my first start, hey, kid, you're going to get 5 starts. All in September, you're going to get 5 chances to show what you can do. You can't do that with a team that's in a pennant race.
Unless you're Marty Beister.
5-0.
On the ground to Easley. And the play goes to first. Aurelia retired. Another ground ball out for Mike Pelfrey. 4 shutout innings for Pelfrey and a 3-0 Met lead.
At a meeting of our board today, they voted permission for us to transfer the New York Giants franchise to San Francisco. Does that mean you will definitely do it? That's right.
50 years ago, the Giants moved from New York to San Francisco. And had they not, we wouldn't be here today. There'd be no Mets. There'd be no Shea.
And I would have grown up in San Francisco with no Major League Baseball team.
That's right.
So thanks for leaving, Giants.
Thanks for bringing us Willie Mays, Jack Sanford, Johnny Antonelli.
And thanks for giving us Willie back, by the way. Delgado fouls it back 1-2.
Mike McCormick. Oh boy, that was a team. Those were teams. Of course, the Giants in '62 won the National League pennant. Lost to the Yankees in '7.
They haven't won a World Series since '54. Off Lincecum's glove and into right center field, and Delgado's got himself a bank shot of a hit. Well, they got 3 infielders on the right side, but not enough as it turned out.
Oh, I don't know. That ball's hit pretty hard. I don't know if Durham would have made that play.
I think that was Omar.
Skell, yeah.
With the way he was playing with that shift.
That's right, the shift. Excuse me.
So the Mets got the leadoff man on for the first time against Lincecum. That's their 6th hit. And now Fernando Tatis, who took a call third strike his first time up. Up and in. And Tatis does a spinorama to get out of the way. Is he claiming he was hit?
Yeah.
And Jerry Manuel has come to the top step of the dugout. I don't know if he was arguing or just making sure Tatis didn't get himself in trouble. Jerry's already been out once today. That's quite a reaction. He was out once today on that horrible call when Lewis ran out of the baseline in the first inning and they didn't call it. But I guess after getting himself ejected yesterday, he doesn't want to leave early today.
Been 3 chin musics today in this ball game. 1 from Pelfrey and 2 from Lincecum. Used to be a norm.
Fouled away.
Well, I shouldn't say a norm, but nothing unusual. But today it's quite unusual.
Well, Lincecum's getting upset because Tatis is taking a long time to get in the box. And then when he gets in the box, he's trying to make sure that he's comfortable before Lincecum delivers the ball to the plate. And that can sometimes be frustrating for the pitcher.
Tim Lincecum out of the University of Washington. Could have been a Colorado Rocky if he had pitched a little bit better in the Pac-10 playoffs against Stanford. When we were in Colorado, we told the story about the Rocky scouts going to see Lincecum pitch against Greg Reynolds, and Reynolds outpitched Lincecum that day pitching for Stanford, and so the Rockies took Reynolds ahead of Lincecum.
With an arm like that?
Well, I think a lot of scouts were wary of his delivery.
And didn't Brandon Morrow outpitch him also, or in that tournament at least pitch well, which allowed Seattle to take Brandon Morrow before Lincecum.
Of course, all those guys are in the big leagues now, but Lincecum has had by far the most success. All taken in the 06 draft. Tatis fouls that ball off his foot, and it's 3-2.
I almost wondered, Ronnie, if Lincecum is going to let Tatis get him a little off point.
Yeah.
You know, he had a nice inning last inning. Well, he gave up 2 hits last inning at the double play, but starting to get his form together, and now he's fallen behind again. This is what's gotten him in trouble in this ball game early. It's been a labor for him.
Yeah, it has.
3-2 with nobody out, and Lincecum takes a look in on Delgado. Doesn't draw a whole lot of pickoff throws.
That's when you know that you're a little off kilter as a pitcher, that, you know, there's no reason to throw to first base there. You know it's 3-2. You know, maybe he might be going. I doubt it.
I doubt it too. Hit hard down to third. Should be a double play. Aurelia to Durham and on to first for the 5-4-3 double play. Well, Tatis hit a scorcher, but right at Rich Aurelia. Second straight inning, the Giants have turned 2.
Well, that's why they call it the hot corner, and that was a bullet. 10 feet left or right of Aurelia. That's a base hit.
So Lincecum gets the double play he needs. For more on the young Giants pitcher, let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Guys, I had a nice conversation with Benji Molina today about working with Lincecum, which he says is a lot of fun. He says he rarely shakes me off, and when he does, it amazes him because he has such a great idea of what he's doing and how to attack the hitter. He said the thing about him, which is great, is not only does he have 4 devastating pitches, but he won't give in and doesn't have to throw a fastball when you're in trouble. In fact, he said he's completely comfortable with his curve or his change when he's in trouble. And for all the good pitchers Molina's worked with, he said he's never had a guy that early in his career. Well, probably never had too many guys that early in his career anyway. But as Schneider gives this one a ride, deep left center. And that is going to settle in for the final out. But he said he's never had a guy that young be able to do that. So certainly a great trade for Lincecum. Mets failed to score here. They still lead at 3-0 over the Giants.
No rain. Omar Vizquel takes a strike. It's unbelievable that we're actually at a ball game and there's no threat of rain.
I mean, that was about as crazy a road trip as you could have for stops and starts and rain delays and tarps
and walk-offs and almost walk-offs and oh gosh.
Well, that weather pattern in Philly was just everywhere else. It was sunny, but there was a line of rain clouds stretching along the Delaware River, and it was just going right to Philadelphia.
Vizquel takes outside. It's 2-1.
Had a downpour in St. Louis. I mean, I got caught in it going walking back to the hotel.
Pitcher Lincecum on deck. Easily with another chance. That's 8 ground ball outs for Mike Pelfrey among the first 13 outs he's recorded. So Pelfrey has got his game working tonight. Now Lincecum grounded out to Reyes his first time.
The pitcher.
I guess the best compliment you could pay Mike Pelfrey is just that right now it seems Brian Schneider's in a rocking chair back there, making the calls, sitting on the corners, getting the pitches, and he just seems totally relaxed, confident in his pitches and in himself.
He's basically just putting down number 1, predominantly away, coming inside on lefties. And Ronnie, something I've liked that I see off Pelfrey is throwing that straight fastball inside the left-hand hitters. Nice curve.
Well, that's nice to see that he can work that curveball in there. He's thrown it 3 or 4 times and throw it for a strike.
And very smart of Brian Schneider, because when it's your 3rd or 4th pitch, you want to throw it to the pitcher. That's a good time to throw it, to take a chance. Back to the sinker.
But here's the question. Ultimately, will that be his 3rd or 4th pitch? I mean, for a guy who had thrown his curveball his whole life, could that be his better complement than his slider or his changeup?
I think so. I think that he's going to get to some point where that curveball is going to be a strikeout pitch for him.
And he strikes out Lincecum with the fastball. Strikeout number 3 for Pelfrey. 2 out.
Well, just that ball running away, true to that outside corner.
Fred Lewis.
And it's the pitcher up, but still.
I'm sorry, Ronnie, go ahead.
No, that's going to get regular hitters also, not only the pitcher.
I think that curveball to a left-hand hitter is a better pitch for him than the slider. He throws that backdoor curveball like that. That's a tough pitch.
Here's Fred Lewis is 0 for 2. Swings and misses at the fastball. In Philadelphia tonight, Cole Hamels pitching for the Phils. He's given up home runs to Rick Ankiel and Ryan Ludwig. 2-0 Cardinals in the 6th.
The Phillies continue to struggle offensively, even though they had their big outburst yesterday against the Mets. But over the greater period of time, they have not hit.
They're just waiting until the 7th innings. 0-2 to Lewis. The last time Mike Pelfrey lost a game, May the 26th. He had 3 no decisions and then 4 straight wins in his last 7 starts. 0-2 to Lewis. Curveball misses, and it's 1-2. Mets have become the bearded brigade.
Yeah.
Struck him out through the fastball by Fred Lewis.
Like DiMaggio, runs like cop. Could this be Speaker back on the job? Makes lippy dippy with his magical plays. Say hey, Willie Mays.
He runs like a rabbit, sly as a fox. Got home run habits in the batter's box. He belts that ball and say hey. It's over the fence and far away.
Say hey, say who? Say Willie. Say hey, say who? Swinging at the plate. Say hey, say who? Say Willie. That giant hit is great. That giant hit is great.
That's the greatest player I've ever seen, and I had never seen that video montage and song before. That was fantastic.
That was great. I was riveted.
And by the way, how did he not kill Bobby Bonds on that play at the fence?
And Bobby was camped under that. That was going to be an easy play. And he just, boy, took him out like a linebacker.
He was the greatest player I've ever seen, Willie. Bar none.
He could do everything.
Closest thing to him was Dave Parker when Dave Parker was at the peak of his game for around 3 years.
He could do it all.
Parker could do it all.
Let me throw one guy at you, though. Alex Rodriguez. Is there any? I mean, there's very little that he can't do. I mean, he doesn't steal bases the way he used to, but he's stolen 40 in a year. But those are the numbers for Willie, and you can only imagine had he played in a more conducive home run hitter's ballpark than Candlestick, how many more home runs he might have had.
Yeah, but Willie knew how to hit the ball to right center field and get in that win in right center field. But I saw him turn that wind that blew in from left field, and that's when Candlestick was open, and that wind just shot out to right. When I saw Willie beat Jim Bunning, it was a 0-0 game in the ninth. He had a high fly ball, much like Beltran's home run in the first inning, against the wind to win 1-0.
Flare toward the middle, and Pelfrey's got his 3rd hit of the year. Well, he drove in a run in his last start in St. Louis, and now he's got a 2-game hitting streak.
Look, it drives hitters crazy when pitchers who don't get a lot of batting practice get a hit. Like, it can't be that easy, and that's his first hit off a breaking ball that is breaking up the bench.
Doesn't matter how hard you hit it, it's a hanger.
He threw it in there soft, he hit it softer.
It's a line drive in the box score. Here's Reyes, who's 1 for 2. Has hit the ball hard twice off Lincecum. He's given up 7 hits now.
Reyes has hit the ball hard twice, as Gary said. Both balls away. You see Lincecum just again leading him off with a fastball away.
Reyes with that base hit has his batting average back to 300. He hit 300 briefly yesterday. Changeup by Lincecum, and it's 1-2.
Well, that's the best changeup Lincecum's thrown, Ron. If he throws it like that when he's on, that's pretty much impossible.
He holds it with a split finger kind of grip, but it is a changeup, not a split finger.
What's the difference?
Well, it just that is his grip. What I'm trying to say is he splits his fingers, but he doesn't split them far enough so it becomes a splitter. That's his grip. He has them a little wider than you would have a regular grip, and he kind of squeezes the ball on the back of his hand.
So what we used to call a fork ball?
A fork ball, yeah, something like that. Between a fork and like a palm ball.
Reyes pops it up, and the second baseman Durham has it lined up. So 1 away. Pelfrey still at first.
You know, you were talking about Mike Pelfrey. So after he got his hit that drove in the run, I talked to him the other day, and I said, "What were you thinking about, Mike, when you got the first base and first RBI?" He goes, "I wasn't thinking about anything. That next pitch, Reyes hit that triple, and I was thinking to myself, boy, I can't have him catch me. He might be able to catch me."
Well, the one thing that Mike has going for him, he's got long strides.
Yeah.
You stand next to him, and it's like standing next to an NBA player.
Yeah.
Chavez, who fights one off. Here's a Sovereign Bank 5th inning recap. The Mets got to Tim Lincecum for 3 runs in the first on Carlos Beltran's 250th career home run. No scoring since, but the Mets have continued to threaten, while Mike Pelfrey has been in complete command. Chavez takes it off the plate, and it's 1-1. Andy's 1 for 2. 24-year-old Tim Lincecum, who once threw over 190 pitches in a college game. 190 that was.
Wow. Gee. I got to 176. That's the highest I ever got. But I did pitch the next day too.
That was that 12-inning game
12
against
inning
Viola.
game against Rich Aurelius St. John's.
Hit toward right center field, moving over his win, and that retires Chavez for the second out. Anybody else of note on that St. John's team?
Third baseman David Wright.
Scott Olger on that team?
John Frankel.
But he didn't bat against him.
No, okay. Not the guy who got the hit. His name was Steve Scarfa, and but they had a right-hander that finished the game. I forget his name now, but he was drafted by the Mets later. He threw awfully hard. I'll come up with the name.
Not Terry Ross.
No. Yeah, I'm old. Those are young guys.
I guess so.
Yep.
David Wright takes a strike. Just for those who may not know what we're talking about.
Yeah, sorry.
Yale and St. John's hooked up in a, what was it, ECAC regional
game.
1981.
1981.
And Ronnie and Frank Viola hooked up in a classic.
Yeah, he went. What did Frankie go? Frankie went 11 innings, and I went 11 innings no hitter, and lost it on the 12th on a base hit, a base hit, a walk, and a double steal.
You and Harvey Haddix.
Yeah, well, those exactly. Those pre-med students at Yale, they didn't know how to do that double steal. Not to defense it.
Carlos Beltran waiting on deck.
Oh.
Curve by Lincecum just misses.
Ronnie,
Is the three-quarter delivery here a little more of a? That is an outstanding slider curve. Wow.
I think it full home plate umpire Bruce Dreckman.
It did.
2-2. Struck him out with the fastball, so Lincecum. And Durham foul tips it, held by Schneider, strike 3. Strikeout number 5 for Pelfrey. That's 4 straight starts now that Pelfrey has struck out 5 or more.
Well, so much movement on that two-seamer from Mike Pelfrey. You know, and he's doing what you're supposed to be doing. 13, faced 20 batters, 13 of them first pitch strikes. I mean, that is just outstanding.
Well, it just makes me wonder, you know, all the videotape. You've been 3 times through the order now. This is the 3rd time through the order. And you're a left-hand hitter and haven't made an adjustment for the pitcher that's predominantly throwing away.
They are swinging more first pitch.
That's 14 out of 21 first pitch strikes.
Well, he has just got enormous movement on his fastball.
90 pitches for Pelfrey here in the 6th. We'd love to get him through 7 tonight. Popped up foul by Wynn, and it's 0-2.
And you can say this, that even though he has a higher pitch count than you want, it's about as efficient a throwing motion as you want, and this is not a guy who's throwing 20, 30 curveballs. This is mostly over-the-top fastballs.
-2 to Win off the plate. So you think that when you look at pitch counts, that if you're throwing fastballs, they count for less in terms of a pitch count than curveballs?
Yes, less strain, absolutely.
1-2, ground ball, easily moves over and throws out the speedy Win for the 2nd out. 2 out and nobody on. Time for a New York State Smokers Quitline game update. Let's go to Matt Yellow.
All right, it's the Cardinals in Philadelphia and Ryan Ludwig at the plate. Cole Hamels dealing. Ludwig with his 18th home run. Rick Ankiel also went deep in this game. That was the first run of the game. That was his 19th. Joel Pinheiro going for the Cardinals, and it's not raining. 2-0 Cardinals, bottom 7.
All right, man. Did you see where that home run went?
Yeah.
I mean, that went to the deepest part of the park and up into the concourse. That was no Citizens Bank Park cheapie. Here's Benji Molina, check swing foul ball. Well, Ludwig made the All-Star team despite the fact that he hasn't been playing every day for the last few weeks, but I think he just burnished his credentials with that home run.
Well, Tony La Russa gave him the day off the first, 2 games in the series, against the Mets in St. Louis.
Molina gets under one to left field. And Tatis camped under it. And Mike Pelfrey with another very successful inning. He's now retired 7 in a row. And 16 of the last 17. 3-0 New York. Then added a base hit his last time up. So Beltran's 2 for 2. Mets have 7 hits off Lincecum. And they've had base runners in every inning. Damien Easley to follow, and then Carlos Delgado here in the home 6th. And Lincecum throws a strike, 2-1.
That was a 88-mile-an-hour changeup.
Good pitch to take. 2-0, you don't want to hit a changeup unless it's right there down the pipe.
Fastball line to short, and Vizquel did not make the catch out of the air, but throws out Beltran. Another shot off the bat of Carlos Beltran.
Well, this is a rocket, and that's Wilson Pickett.
It's pretty good.
Oh, man.
That's not an easy play. Nice short hop. Throw from the knee.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Damien Easley, who struck out and grounded into a double play. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, guys, Charlie Manuel over the weekend in Philly was asked if he had to say anything and get his team ready for the Phillies, and he chuckled and said, come on, man, this is the Phillies. But I asked him today, okay, you didn't need to say anything about the Phillies, but what about this week, the final week for the All-Star break? You don't want to spoil what you just did. As easily skies one is shallow right, and Durham will put it away, 2 away. And he said, you know what, I will say something to him. And as a matter of fact, this week, it doesn't matter who's on your team, what kind of team you have. It is human nature that the players think about the coming off days rather than the final push. It's just the way it is. So for us, the key is not to go out there and show a lack of focus that is evident. And I don't know about you guys, but I thought that was a refreshingly honest answer to say that he actually has to remind the guys, hey, it's not the off days yet. Make sure you finish this week and play strong here.
And also the come down after the big series to play these supposedly lesser teams. But did you guys have that in terms of having to keep yourself focused in that week before the All-Star break?
Not me. You knew the 3 days were coming, and you looked forward to it if you weren't going to the game. But no, you stayed focused. You had 3 games to play.
Delgado crushes one. Deep right center field. Back goes Rowan looking up, and it's out of here. Carlos Delgado with his 16th home run of the season. And it's 4-0 New York. Now, Tim Lincecum had allowed just 5 home runs all season over 17 starts, but he's given up a pair of Carlos's tonight.
Fastball up and away, and that's a pitch that Carlos has been having. That ball hit off the scoreboard so high up it was above the shot, I thought. Bomb. That was a bomb. No, he's just been staying back more. Lincecum knows that's out of here. And Lincecum, I think, Ronnie, needs to pitch more inside to left-handers. He tends to kind of pitch too much away. And as I said of Delgado, he's starting to stay back more. He's working on it for the longest time, and he's getting more consistent with it.
Oh, 0-2 to Tatis, and he lines a base hit. So Tatis has his first hit of the night. And with Lincecum up over 100 pitches, the Giants get the bullpen cranked. Jack Tashner, the lefty, is up. That's 9 hits now off Lincecum, including a pair of home runs. Brian Schneider up for the 3rd time. Schneider's starting his 3rd straight game after Ramon Castro had gotten the bulk of the work the previous week.
Well, you know Castro's going to play probably on Thursday.
And maybe tomorrow as well. I mean, you got lefties going the next 2 days for the Giants. Would you play him day game and night game?
I think that you probably wouldn't do it, except now, because you have the break coming up where you have 3 days off.
Well, I'm sure Ramon wants them both.
Grounded down to first. Bowker handles it. And Schneider retired to end the inning, but the Mets add a run. Well, Kevin was talking earlier today about Jerry Manuel wanting to get his team focused before they headed to this final stretch before the All-Star break. He also was talking after the game last night about how disappointed he was with the number of mistakes the Mets made late in yesterday's game. And for both those reasons, he gathered his troops before the game today for a full squad meeting on the field.
And this was right before batting practice at 4:30. In fact, we asked Jerry, was he going to talk to the team about those mistakes and other things? He said, yes, I definitely will. We said, when? At 4:30. So that was when he went out there and addressed his club. That's good. That's good stuff.
I like everything Jerry's done since he's taken this ball club over. Managing on the field, managing his players, in the clubhouse. I think he's just been terrific.
Aaron Rowan leads off in the 7th inning. Rowan has one of the 2 hits off Pelfrey, an infield single back in the 1st. Pelfrey's retired 16 of the last 17. But I thought that was an interesting choice to hold the meeting on the field. Normally, if you're going to meet with your full squad, you do it in the clubhouse. And could it have been because he wanted to have a meeting, but didn't want it to be a formal thing? He wanted a little more informality? Is that why he did it on the field, you think?
Well, I think what happens, it's unless you have a real, I think you're right. I think you wanted to have it informal. You know, the logistics of the clubhouse before batting practice is just crazy with, reporters and television people, including ourselves, standing around because we at some point get to talk to Jerry. And sometimes it's hard getting the players all together because they're rushing to get out for batting practice. But they all have to be on the field at a certain time, and that was 4:30 today, and he got their attention then.
Because I think if you clear the clubhouse to have a meeting, it draws more attention to it.
Well, then you have to have a meeting with the media to talk about why you had a meeting.
A meeting's a meeting's a meeting, as far as I'm concerned, whether you have it up in the press booth or down in the clubhouse or on the field.
1-2 to Rowan.
And I also think you have your own chalkboard here because when you're on the field, you can point and say, hey, the play that was in center field, we want to make sure that play, the ball goes to second base. You don't need it to go to third, so you can use that.
Excellent point, Ron.
And I wonder if there was any concern, too. I mean, he talked about the mistakes late in the game, and obviously Beltran's throw to third base in the 9th inning yesterday was a glaring one, but also Beltran's reaction to that, which was very odd and defensive and almost, blaming another one of his teammates for that. And maybe that's part of what Jerry was trying to nip in the bud.
Win and lose as a team is, it's a cliche, but boy, is it important to know that and cover for each other and take responsibility when you have to. It's just good championship teams do it, and teams that are having a tough year do not do it. There's a lot of finger pointing.
And especially at a time when the team's starting to play well. One hopper to right, set him back on his heels, but he throws out Rowan for the first down. Washington, huh? It's fun. You get a little history with your Mets.
That's right.
Ball 1 to Bowker. Has one of the 2 hits against Pelfrey.
That's what I like right there, Roddy. He's able to throw that fastball to lefties. As you look at Joe Smith and Scott Schoenweiss in the bullpen, he's throwing the fastball inside Ron, and he's throwing it for a strike, but if he misses in.
Yeah.
Bowker lifts it to left. Tatis going back, has plenty of room to make the grab. 2 men down. That is 18 out of 19 retired by Pelfrey. Let's answer our Aflac trivia question. We asked which Jet scored the most touchdowns at Shea. I'd say Matt Snell. Well, Emerson Boozer.
Nice.
Boozer played for the Jets for a long time. Oh, that's weak. Our producer, Greg Picker, who's a huge Giants fan, sees that and he goes, that's not very many touchdowns.
Giving you the needle.
Oh, wow. I can't say much right about now, can I?
Nope.
Well, all I can say is the greatest catch in Giants history was made by somebody nobody ever heard of. Here's Rich Aurelia, and he takes ball 1. David who? 106 pitches for Pelfrey. This will probably be his final inning. He's doing lead off in bottom of the 7th. Good slider. 1-1 to Aurelia. There's the Jets flight crew on loan today to celebrate the Jets' return to Shea. Of course, they didn't have cheerleaders back when the Jets played at Shea, or at all until very recently.
It's kind of hard to look bad in that Jet uniform, isn't it?
I think you're right, Keith and Gary, about. Well, I think you're right, Gary, about maybe Pelfrey's last inning. But boy, wouldn't you love this? He is just dominating this team, and sometimes you just like a guy to keep going out there. But how far do you go? Is 125, 130 too much? Nowadays, it seems to be.
If he was going to have extra rest over the All-Star break, maybe, but he's going to pitch Sunday, the last game before the break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If this were Wednesday and you knew he was going to have at least 2 or 3 extra days rest, maybe you push him to 120 pitches.
Yeah. So I guess it'll line up really after the All-Star break. You might have Santana, maybe Pedro or Pelfrey, but you'll have the lefty, righty, lefty kind of thing working for the Mets.
Of course, you can revamp your rotation once you get to the All-Star break. 1-2 to Aurelia. Grounded toward third. That's a foul ball. Right. Makes a nice stop and a nifty throw, but it was a foul ball all the way. I asked Jerry Manuel, even though it's obviously a couple of weeks down the line, I said, if Orlando Hernandez continues to pitch well in rehab and he's ready to go, and they're talking about 2 more rehab starts for El Duque, I said, what are you going to do with him?
Yeah.
And he said, well, if everything stays the way it is now, he's not taking anybody's spot in this rotation.
Yeah, it'll be a bullpen situation for El Duque, who's done it before,
whether he likes it or not.
Yeah.
1-2 to Aurelia. Broken bat, flared toward right, tough spin, and he can't pick it up. And Aurelia has an infield hit. Well, Wright had to worry about the barrel of the bat and the fact that that ball was in full rotation, and that was an almost impossible play. It's only the 3rd hit off Pelfrey, and 2 of the 3 haven't left the infield. Now Omar Vizquel takes up and away. Vizquel twice is grounded out to the right side. Vizquel went to manager Bruce Boccia the other day and said, look, if you want to sit me down and play young Emmanuel Burris more, he said, I'll completely understand. Vizquel hits it to center field. Beltran is right there. 7 shutout innings for Mike Pelfrey. Seventh inning stretch time at Shea, 4-0 New York. Well, another terrific effort by Mike Pelfrey tonight, done after 7 innings, and handshakes all around for a job spectacularly done. Argenis Reyes is going to bat for Pelfrey. Jack Tashner, the left-hander, in the game for the Giants. Of course, the Jets began life as the New York Titans in 1960. They became the Jets in '63. They played those first 4 years at the Polo Grounds before moving to Shea. I actually saw a Jets game at the Polo Grounds in '63. I was 5 years old.
Wow.
All I remember, it was cold, and they got beat badly. Argenis Reyes still looking for his first big league hit.
The last game here at Shea for the Jets, did they get clobbered?
They got 3. Yeah, I think it was the
Steelers, wasn't it?
Yeah. Not happy times.
Did you have some interest in that game?
No. It was in the notes.
And Reyes lines one base hit. And Argenis Reyes has his first major league hit. One for the trophy case.
Oh, lots of good things happening to this Met ball club.
Nice fake by Tatis. That was terrific.
Nice level swing on that inside inner half fastball up. Nice and level. Congrats, everybody. Remember.
Watch Tatis. Takes the ball and flips. Very nice sleight of hand. Here's Jose Reyes popping up the bunt back onto the screen. Well, it took Argenis Reyes till his 5th major league at bat to get a hit. So congratulations to him.
What's your first hit, Keith?
In San Francisco, the first game I played off Mike Caldwell, the lefty.
Yeah.
Candlestick.
It's so cool that you got it in your hometown.
I was so nervous.
Oh.
Mike Caldwell, my first at bat, my family was there. He walked me on 4 straight pitches, and I was just relieved.
Jose Reyes 1 for 3 today. And again he bunts, and he deadens it, and Tashner has no play. Bunt hit for Jose Reyes.
Well, this has got to be the catcher's ball here, if anybody's. Little bit. That's just perfect. That's a nice bloop, isn't it?
That's a lay him down Ziggy right there.
Wow.
Tom Seaver used to always tell me, and he never got to do it. So when a guy bunted on him like that and he knew he was going to be safe, he wanted to always once drill him in the back because they're always inside the running area and they can sometimes be called out. But he said he never got the opportunity.
I guess Jack Tashner never thought about that.
Probably a bunt situation here. May give him a first pitch. Well, no, it's a lefty. There'll be a bunt here.
Chavez 1 for 3. Giants playing for the bunt with the corners in. So Tashner's given up back-to-back hits to start the bottom of the 7th. That's with a 4-0 lead. And Indy takes a strike with a fastball.
Got to make the third baseman field this ball because for a left-hander, this play at the third base is a much easier play because they can come in barehanded and on the run make that throw. Right-hander, of course, has to spin around when they make that play.
To Chavez with Wright and Beltran to follow. And Indy bunts it foul. 1-2. Kevin Correa up in the Giants bullpen. He was originally supposed to start tonight. Supposed to be Lincecum tomorrow and Sanchez on Thursday, but the Giants shortened their rotation heading into the All-Star break to get Lincecum an extra start. Well, that will get him tonight as a loss unless his team has a lot of rally in them in the last 2 innings. 1-2 to Chavez. Don't expect the bunt to be on here. And he throws his bat at it and misses. Bat trickles past Tashner, who has his first strikeout, first out of the inning.
Oh, goes after a big slider there. I think Indy was probably more mad at himself for not getting the bunt down. Sometimes you can lose your concentration. If there's any ray of sunshine over that failure to sacrifice, it ensures David Wright in his bat here. If they would have got him over, they would have walked David intentionally.
So now Argenis Reyes at second, Jose Reyes at first. And Wright 1 for 2 and a walk. David started the day with 70 runs batted in. That's tied for second in the National League behind only Ryan Howard, who had 78. Popped up foul coming out of play. By the way, the Phillies and Cardinals have gone to the 9th inning in Philadelphia. Still 2-0 St. Louis. Here are your City probable pitchers for tomorrow's game here at Shea. Johan Santana, 6 starts without a win despite pitching extraordinarily well, and he'll be opposed by the young lefty Jonathan Sanchez, who's been terrific for the Giants.
How about them both having the same number of strikeouts?
You see that score in the 9th. Cardinals leading the Phillies 2-0. Mets started the day 2.5 behind the Phils. Wright takes inside from Tashner. Jack Tashner was originally drafted by the Angels in 1996 out of high school. Drafted as a pitcher. He had never pitched a day in his life. The Angels saw him playing center field in high school. They saw he had a good arm, and they took a flyer on him. He didn't sign with them. He went to college to the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh, and eventually the Giants took him out of college with the #2 pick. But imagine that, being drafted as a pitcher when he'd never pitched in your life.
That's wild.
At least they knew his arm was fresh.
Yeah.
Now he's 30 years old in his 4th year with the Giants. 1-1 to Wright. Slashed foul. 1-2.
Wow, very interesting reaction by Tashner. I don't know if we have that there, but he lost that ball. Once he threw it, he lost it in the lights. He never knew where that ball was going. So he put the glove up to his face just in case David was hitting it back through the box.
That's got to be a scary proposition.
It's happened before. It's a scary thing.
I mean, it's bad enough for an outfielder to lose a ball on the lights, but a pitcher where you have so little reaction time. One and two to David. In the turn, a great stop by Molina. Up over the shoulder like a goalie.
This is such a tough play. And that's just, I think it's going to bounce here. I'm going to put, it's an educated guess. And I'm just hoping that it hits the glove.
What's Tashner? Reaction. Just never knew where that ball was.
Wow. Two-two. Pulled foul down past Luis Aguayo. Well, the Mets have another double-digit hit game. They seem to be doing this every day now. 17 hits yesterday, 11 more today. Mets over the last 7 games, getting 320 as a team, 50 runs scored. Durham sneaking in near second base to keep an eye on the rookie Reyes. Now backs away. And Wright takes inside, ball 3. So David, who has torn up left-handers all year, has worked a 3-2 count against Tashner with the 2 Reyeses on base. Wright hitting .418 against left-handed pitching this season. Runners go, the 3-2, line to left field. That might be a double play. Lewis picks it off for the out, throwing behind Argenis Reyes, who gets tangled up with Durham, and the ball is backed up by Bowker, and both runners get back.
The center fielder,
the line drive, soft liner. Actually, David got jammed. Nice hustling by Reyes, getting back to that bag. There's the soft liner. You can see he got a shot at second base. Has no idea that the runner at first. You don't think the runner at first is going to be that far. Had a better chance at him.
Yep.
But that's easy to say looking up here on instant replay.
So a double Reyes return, and that gives a chance for Beltran with 2 out and 2 on. Carlos hit a 3-run homer back in the first inning. And he takes ball 1 from Tashner. Carlos has now hit 14 home runs this year, but only 1 as a right-hand batter. You expect for him to hit far more lefty, but not that kind of disparity. It's up and away from Tashner, 2-1. Tim Lincecum went 6 innings, allowed 4 runs and 9 hits. He walked 2, struck out 4, gave up a couple of home runs that are responsible for all the scoring. And Mike Pelfrey, well, he was a whole lot better. 7 shutout innings, allowed just 3 hits. Beltran hits it toward the hole, base hit. Argenis Reyes around third and heading home. Lewis's throw to the plate. Not in time. Reyes scores, and it's 5-0 New York. 4th RBI of the night for Carlos Beltran. And Lewis has a good arm.
Yeah, accurate too. Nice hitting up and in fastball, and Argenis Reyes can fly. Turns the corner nicely. Hate to see guys fly head first at home. I thought that was a good barometer I got from Bobby, who Ronnie, you know, he was one of the best third base coaches there was.
Unbelievable. Only for a season, though. As you see, Kevin Correa's in for the game. This is the first time he's worked in the pen this season. He's been their 5th starter. That's not going to be needed until Saturday's ball game, but the Giants are only 1-8 in his 9 starts this year.
27-year-old right-hander has worked as both the starter and reliever in his career. Easily takes the pitch low, and it's 1-1. Giants made a double switch. They took out Vizquel. And put Jose Castillo in at shortstop, so he'll bat 9th and lead off in the 8th inning. 1-1 to Easley. Drive to center field. In comes Rowan off the plate on a hot base hit. Jose Reyes comes in to score, and it's 6-0 New York. Damien easily extends his hitting streak to 10 straight games, and the Mets have scored twice here in the 7th to pull away.
Well, Damien, we always talk about him staying level. Inner half fastball around mid-thigh. Boy, he just continues to get the job done, and you're not going to throw Jose Reyes out.
What a difference in tournaments of 2-out RBI hits for this team over the last week. This has been an area of concern all year. The Mets were down around 210 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position until the last week, and now it seems like they're getting a couple every day.
Well, I think it's just attention to detail. We've already seen him play a full 9 innings, because we saw earlier in the year it was hard for them to play, a full 9. They played 6, 7, and then kind of peter out a little bit. Now they're playing a full 9 innings and doing a lot of little things that you need to do to win ball games. And add-on runs, boy, how important are those during the course of a season?
Well, the add-on runs here have just about broken this game wide open. You got the hammer, you just never score enough runs.
Delgado's had a perfect night. Walk, single, and a long home run, his 16th of the year. Fouls that one. And it's 1-2. Mets now have 6 runs and 13 hits. Tatis on deck. Every Mets starter has a hit except for Brian Schneider tonight. Kevin Correa trying to secure the final out here in the bottom of the 7th. 1-2 to Delgado. Takes it high, and it's 2-2. Scott Schoenweiss getting ready to pitch the 8th inning. Two to Delgado. Takes it high, and now Correa goes to a full count.
Well, you see not so much the shift here. You really wonder why you wouldn't move your outfielders over. If you're moving your infielders over in the shift, you're basically playing straight up in the outfield. Why wouldn't you give Carlos the left field line? It's a double anyway, right, Ronnie?
Yeah.
3-2, runners go. In there for a call strike 3. Delgado certainly did not think so. But the inning comes to an end. The Mets, with 4 hits, tack on 2 runs.
It was huge. I knew that I was going up against a very good pitcher, and I knew that he was going to keep his team in the game. And it's big. It's important to go out and throw up that that first zero to kind of try to get the momentum going.
It looks like you're toying a little bit more with the curveball again. I mean, that's something that actually had gone out of your repertoire. You went with the slider instead. Tell us how that's starting to come back into it now.
I mean, Dan Worthing came to me and asked me about it and asked me about throw it, and I said, I thought about throwing it, like early in the count to, guys just kind of get ahead. So, I started, I worked in it a little bit tonight, and I got to go back and keep working on it in the bullpen, but. Maybe one day, maybe it'll get there.
I mean, does it feel? I know you may be a little rusty, but does it feel like it could come back quick, that pitch for you?
Yeah, and I mean, it gives the hitters a different range of speed. So I think I looked at the score. I think one was 72 or something. So different range and something else to look for.
What have you felt like inside during this whole streak? You've pitched exceptionally well. It's now I think 8 starts. So what are you feeling inside?
I feel like I'm out there, doing the same thing I've always done, just, a lot more confident. And, it's just, I feel like I'm maturing. I feel like, it's getting there, and, I just want to help this team, win any way I can.
When you're confident, what does that give you the ability to do?
I mean, throw that, make pitches with, conviction. It's not, it doesn't matter if the count's, 3-0, 3-1. I'm gonna make my pitch, and I believe that, hey, you're not gonna hit it, and if you do, it's gonna go to somebody, go at somebody. So, I'm just a lot more confident, and I have a lot more faith in myself.
Mike, one last question: is there any truth to the rumor after another hit today that Hojo is seeking advice from you?
Definitely not true. So, but he might tomorrow. So we'll see.
it should be pointed out, guys, first of all, good luck the rest of the way, and thanks for the time, Mike, as always. And, guys, it should be pointed out that Pelfrey was all over Joe Smith the other day after that at-bat. So that was the first thing I heard when I went into the clubhouse. So he's feeling it at the plate, no doubt.
Well, he was ready to pitch in relief the other night if the Mets had needed him. His bat is hot, and now he is on a pitching roll, a chance for 5 wins in 5 starts if the Mets can get the final 5 outs in this game for him.
Well, and you were talking about how big Pelfrey is, Scott Schoenweiss in the game. It's his 41st game for Scott, handling those left-handers, 172 average. It was easy seeing Pelfrey right there, right next to Kevin, our own Kevin, who's very tall and just loomed large over Kevin Burkhardt.
Fred Lewis down swinging, 2 out and nobody on.
Ron, I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
It was the one thing I noticed out of that interview that was a point of interest for me. Pelfrey said he threw his curveball and looked up at the radar gun to see that what the mileage was. Did you ever do that when you pitched?
Well, there was no radar gun to look up to, but I would never do that. Yeah, that would, I don't know, like radar guns to me, I think become, if you're for a young pitcher, not for an older pitcher because they don't care. But for a young pitcher, it make you want to try to throw harder. It's not always good.
Argenis Reyes, who stayed in the game at second base, throws out Ray Durham. A 1-2-3 inning for Schoenweiss. 6-0 New York. Brian Schneider on deck, and then Argenis Reyes here in the bottom of the 8th.
What do you have, around 15, 16, 17 starts second half of the season, Ronnie?
Yeah, you have
probably a few less than that.
Yeah, usually you have close to 18, 19 in the first half. When I pitch, it was, you'd have 34, 35 starts. Guys are more around 32 now, aren't they?
Yeah, so maybe get
18 and 14 or something
14,
like that.
15 starts in the second half. 3-1 to Tatis, hit off the end of the bat foul.
Well, I think of all the people on the Mets staff, the only one really that I would ever use on 3 days rest would be Pelfrey. I think that he could. The sinker, he could sustain his stuff. He's a big, strong kid.
Three and 2 to Tatis, and he launches one to center field. Back goes Rowan, going back, warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Fernando Tatis with his 3rd home run of the year. And the Mets now lead at 7-0. Fernando is channeling his 1999 form. At the game-winning home run in the 12th inning in Philly the other day, and now over the center field fence at Shea.
Well, he's very strong and a low ball hitter, and that ball's down the pipe, and this is a long way.
Wow.
That ball's crushed. Jerry's got to be happy what he's seeing.
Here's Schneider, and Brian takes ball 1. Well, Tatis is not a particularly big guy, but he has proven in his career that he has got long ball power.
Yeah, he's very strong upper body, though. He's got a big barrel chest. He's stronger than he looks.
Fifth time this season the Mets have hit 3 home runs in a game. Ball 3 to Schneider, who's the only starter without a hit today. Mets now have 14 hits after 17 yesterday, 14 the day before that, 14 before that. I mean, they are just raking. And doing it without their 2 starting corner outfielders.
I just really feel they've turned the corner.
Old foul. I know it's not something that you necessarily think about if you're playing, but right now it's a realistic goal for this team to think about being in first place by the All-Star.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, I think you would have taken 500 at the All-Star break, right? But as we've seen in this topsy-turvy National League East and in many of the divisions of baseball, 2 good weeks can put you right where you want to be.
Bowker makes the play on Schneider for the first out. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. SNY.TV's Mets minor league blog hits the road and connects you to the minors. Get the latest news on the big Mets prospects. Hear about the player to watch out for. And get live scouting updates from the scene exclusively on SNY.TV. Joe Smith up in the bullpen 2 days after his 2 1/3 heroic effort in Philadelphia.
And the most impressive thing about that was that he got the lead, Gary, and he closed the deal.
Reyes lines one to the third baseman. So Argenis Reyes, after picking up his first hit in his last at bat, lines out to Aurelia for the second out.
Joe Smith had to face the big boys, and Ryan Howard was in that inning, and Burrell, and he went right through the teeth of that order and shut it down.
Faced the lefties, and Jerry Manuel said, look, you know, the only reason he faced those lefties is because we had no choice. But he said the fact that he was able to get those guys out, now it puts it in your brain that you don't necessarily have to go lefty, righty, lefty when you get Joe in a spot in the 7th or 8th inning. Curveball in for a strike to Jose Reyes.
And it also gives Joe confidence against those lefties because he probably knows in the back of his mind that he can get lefties out, but he very rarely faces lefties. So when he does that, he knows he can have history that he can go back on and say, hey, I know I can get these guys out because in Philadelphia on that one day I was able to do it.
Well, he's got that third pitch now. He's throwing that changeup more, and that's a weapon that can help him against lefties.
And that backdoor slider. When he has that right against left-handers, it's unhittable.
0-2 to Reyes outside. Met fans, for an in-depth look at all the top Mets highlights in each game, log on to SNY.TV and check out the IO HD Plays of the Game located in the IO HD Video Lounge. Andy Chavez on deck. 1-2 to Reyes. Just off the plate with the changeup, and it's 2-2. Reyes has 2 more hits today. Bearing down on Christian Guzman for the league lead in hits. Guzman had 118 at the beginning of the day. Reyes now with 113. And Reyes' batting average at .301. Curveball hit to third. Aurelia will have to hurry with a throw. And he got him. Nice play by Rich Aurelia to end the inning. But the Mets tack on a run. Fernando Tatis.
Joe Smith in the game. Kind of mop-up duty here for Joe, coming off that great 2 1/3 innings pitched in Philadelphia. He had a real good sharp changeup that he was throwing to the left-handed hitters. That was that pitch right there.
Benji Molina on deck, and then Aaron Rowan here in the 9th. The Giants have been limited to 3 hits. 2 of them were infield hits against Mike Pelfrey. Scott Schoenweiss pitched a 1-2 3/8. And now Smith ahead on Wynn 1-2. Tomorrow night, Johan Santana tries to get off the schneid. 6 straight starts without a win despite pitching well, and he'll be opposed by a very talented young lefty, Jonathan Sanchez. The Giants don't hit much, they don't score much, but boy, they can throw a quality starting pitcher at you just about every day. I mean, with Lincecum and Sanchez and Matt Cain, they have as talented a trio of young starters as anybody around, and if they can get Zito going, that would make all the difference.
Well, Sanchez pitched that great ball, that excellent ball game against the Mets in not Candlestick. Geez, I'm dating myself.
Telephone Park.
Yeah.
Beltran catches Wynn's fly ball for the first out.
And you know what people tend to forget, because he's getting all the acclaim and the cover boy shots of Sports Illustrated, is that Matt Cain is younger than Tim Lincecum.
The catcher, Benji Molina.
And Cain is a guy who's just pitched in horrible luck the last couple of years.
You know, he's pitched really well. He's struggled a little bit of late, but he's pitched really well, just never gets anything to show for it. And after a while, when you're a young pitcher, you start to lose some of your confidence in your ability to win ball games.
Benji Molina grounds one out to Reyes. Plenty of time with Molina running, and they're a 2-man down. Well, when this is over, this game I mean, don't go anywhere, because the greatest post-game show on television will be coming your way. Nissan Post-Game Live with Matty Oloff and Lee Mazzilli right after the game right here on SNY. And log on to SNY.TV afterwards for more of the latest post-game reactions and interviews on Nissan Post-Game Extra. Giants down to their final out. Aaron Rowan had an infield hit back in the first. The Giants loaded the bases against Pelfrey in the first. Didn't score. Haven't had a runner past first base since. And Rowan takes ball 1 from Joe Smith.
Well, this is We'll hold this shot for you, and it's not Gene Autry.
What was the name of Gene Autry's horse? Back to the mound. Smith knocks it down. Ball game over. Met pitchers retired. 25 of the last 27 Giants to come to bat. Tremendous pitching. The Mets get their third shutout win of the year. 7 brilliant innings by Pelfrey, Beltran, Delgado, and Tatis with home runs, and the Mets are now 2 games over 500.
Well, Jerry Manuel's got to be awfully happy the way his team is playing, especially the way his team is hitting. And they're just starting with, Pedro's game, Pelfrey's game. You have Santana tomorrow. Just rounding into shape where they're getting a good pitch ball game from their starters each and every night, giving the offense a chance to explode. And explode they have. 7-0 rout of the Giants tonight.
And coupled with the Philadelphia loss tonight, the Mets now close to a game and a half. And they pushed another game over 500, the most important first hurdle. And as you said, Ronnie, right there, another important man right there. You saw Ali Perez, 2 big pitch starts back to back. The pitching, starting pitching's coming around, the hitting's coming around. Things are looking very much up for the Metsies.
4 straight wins for the Mets. They've had 14 or more hits in 4 consecutive games now.